ultimate luxury Mercedes and Maybach stands for. And for instance here, if we look at the first exhibit, if we zoom in, that's a super yacht we designed, and we made damn sure it's bigger than Abramovich's, which is about 170 meters. That thing is 1,000 feet, you know, which is approximately over 300 meters, okay? So way bigger, has an own marina in the rear, and of course hosts 120 people. So we could easily all make next to on this boat here in front of Pebble Beach. That would be great actually. So another example is our Mercedes Tower. It is 1 mile high. So that means it's bigger than anything Dubai ever built. They reach 1 kilometer, but we are at a mile now, which is, for all of you from Europe, 1.6 kilometers, right? And in a beautiful shape of central purity designed according to our vehicles. And last but not least, that thing there, we call it the DNA alpha helix. Elon Musk would call it the Hyperloop. We call it the DNA, inspired by a DNA strand. It's a super high-speed tube where the vehicles can go with 400 miles per hour through that. Actually, you drive yourself, you don't sit in a pod underground, you're elevated in that nice, beautiful alpha helix structure. So, just a few examples about how we generate the fantasy in this business here. And there's no fantasy without understanding the brand. So please follow me in the next room, which is our philosophy room, because everything starts with philosophy. Everything comes from a brand. And as most of you hopefully know, it's about essential purity, because that is the equivalent of a modern luxury. That means we have something that is hot, that is desired, it's about falling in love, it's about sexy on one hand, and this is what makes our Mercedes cars so successful at one point. And being here in Pebble Beach, this is actually the essence of every classic car. Why do people love classic cars? Because of course it's always great to look back into history, because back then it was easy, right? You were young, life was easy, no fear about the future, you know? So it's always nice to look back. It's almost more brave to look in the future, right? But then, these classic cars, they share this beautiful, full shapes, voluptuous shapes, which we naturally love as humans. And we try to capture that human beauty idol, knowing we will never reach it. But then on the other hand, we have the cool part, which of course is very much about being intellectual, knowing what you're doing, and it's about staging high technology, as we are a high-tech brand. But of course it means something else. It means, what do people mean when they say, wow, this is cool? They say, wow, I've never seen it before. It's unexpected. And that's of course crucially designed to create something new that is unexpected. So we group everything we do along this hot and cool philosophy, and we group all of our brands according to that hot and cool map. And so please follow me in the next brand room, where we see all of our 4 sub-brands grouped along each other. And of course in the center there's Mercedes-Benz, in the center of that central purity of that hot and cool philosophy. And then we added a new brand, like you've seen, our Mercedes EQ sub-brand, for electric drive, for the future, for everything, you know. The digital age will change this car in the future. In the next 10 years, the future is actually now. It will change it so much more than in the last 100 years before. So that's very exciting, and this is why we founded that high-tech EQ brand. And of course, as a tech brand, it's very much onto our cool side. If we move along to the other side, the hot part, of course there's Mercedes-AMG. And you see here our new Panorama grille, inspired, again, this is why Classic Concours is such a great source of inspiration, by the 1952 SL Panorama, who, if you look back into history, took that grille from the pre-war racing cigars, the Silver Arrow. So it is our classic racing grille. So we took it from the Panorama with the vertical bars like teeth, very aggressive, and put it onto the new AMG cars, on the GT, on the purebred AMG cars. And that's going to be the future of AMG. So we will make AMG the leading sports car brand. And then of course, last but not least, and of course also on the hot part is luxury, and ultimate luxury is very much on the hot part. we are having Mercedes-Maybach as the ultimate luxury brand. And we are right now the most successful ultra luxury brand with Mercedes-Maybach, what we're doing, and we will expand that brand. In production vehicles, more, you see where we have been with AMG 10 years ago, and you can imagine where we will be with Mercedes-Maybach in 10 years from now. And that is why we keep shaping the brands also with beautiful concepts like that. And let me please explain a little bit how the difference between the modern luxury and the ultimate luxury is. And so let's follow me please into the Maybach room of ultimate luxury and just give you a few examples about how that's going to be. And of course, it's all about beauty. But with Mercedes-Maybach, we try to create the ultimate beauty, which has to do with a lot of things, surface, proportion, everything. So we try to create the ultimate beauty idol, which of course then leads to the next thing, which is the ultimate icon. And the car can only become an icon over time, and we seriously see that here on the concours, and we are working very strong to be back here in 40 years from now and win the concours. So that's going to be cool, and that's the goal of every designer to do a design icon, of course. We do the ultimate in refinement, which leads a lot of craftsmanship, a lot of attention to detail, even more than the classic Mercedes is doing. For instance, that haute couture example you're seeing in this picture right now. Next thing, the reduction. Simplicity is our goal. If we like it, we take a line off. If we still like it, we take another line off. And that applies to all Mercedes vehicles, but of course it especially applies to Maybach vehicles to create the ultimate beauty in reduction. And last but not least, of course, as I mentioned that on the cool part, we are considered the high-tech brand. Of course, it's about the ultimate in technology. And you might ask yourself, why is it a light bulb here? I mean, is that ultimate technology? Yes, it is, because it's an LED light bulb, and it stages that technology, and that makes a difference to stage technology, because that is what design is doing. It makes technology alive, and that is our goal here. So far about that, so I think we're going into the next room now, and we will enter actually the creation. So now we will go into the design center, and you will be part of some examples of what the guys did in Carlsbad with ideation and scale models. So we just put out 2 scale models. As you can see, we can follow along the ideation process. Of course, you see we were talking about an over-exaggerated car. A dream car, a movie car that is so ultimate in proportions that it takes the Mercedes proportion of a long hood, the car sits on the rear wheel, almost like these Art Deco cars, and honestly that has been a great inspiration for myself. These 1930s cars that typically win here, the Art Deco streamlined cars, some of them Mercedes, Autobahn, Korea and so on, 540K, great source of inspiration, the 1930s. So we try to apply that onto new proportion here. And of course we were dealing with details, we were dealing with the grille to develop the grille. First of all, Mercedes-Maybach gets its own grille, and it's inspired, of course, by the original Maybach grille, which was always with the vertical bars, but we took it to the next step with this fine stripe, like a fine striped suit, to give it that very special, super luxury appeal. And then, if we have a close look onto the 2 scale models, which you see as a holograph here, you see in the design process we go different ways to judge, to be able to judge where we are. So we have a more classic approach you see on the left side there with this classic Art Deco streamlined proportions, and then on the other side, if you go onto the other model here, you see something more, let's say, video game-like, more progressive. So in the end, we decided to be more inspired on the classic Art Deco streamlined approach on the exterior. And the interior, however, we decided to go a different way, because we are going into the age of autonomous driving, but of course we all are here because we love driving, and driving is actually fun, and it has been fun over 130 years, and it will remain fun over the next 130 years. And I love to drive myself, And so this is a car you drive yourself, so you can of course do it with the 2 dials, analog dials with a display inside, inspired by turbine design. Here are some proposals. You see some more classic chronographic approaches or some more turbine approaches. You see the same theme in the wheels actually. And then we of course put a lot of emphasis on the HMI, because when this car is driving autonomous, of course you need to have other approaches in the display. So you have huge display areas, and this gives you an example of how maps can look in the future. This is actually right now out of the oven of our Silicon Valley office here in Sunnyvale, not far from here, where we design the future. So that gives you an example of a 3D map, which not only applies like before to navigation, it will also satisfy your need for exploration or even for gaming, and it can be actually the center menu of an HMI. So just to give you a glimpse, that's going to be the future here. Of course, it's connected throughout the entire vehicle, and yeah, we have nice details here, and I'm coming on the color and trim aspect on the car again. So, and before we now reveal the ultimate thing here, of course, there's no car without the team. And that point, I just wanted to mention here, in the team room, we have some of the making of the car, just to mention all the designers, modelers, sculptors, computer specialists, color and trim experts, engineers, and so on, who worked on that car and to make it happen, to put the car here down on stage today. For you, it's always very super tight, believe me. And this is a fully working driving prototype. We'll come to that a little bit later, where we already took it. But yeah, thank you so much to the team. And now, when we enter the next room, we will eventually now see the final car. Right now, it's still in the fog in our design studio. We borrowed the fog from Pebble Beach, right? And it's still good, but let's see what we got here. Since only the old, beautiful Maybach, of course. Yeah. So you see the car is stunning in proportion. It's a street yacht, and we over-exaggerated the proportion of a Mercedes car with this ultra-long hood, with the cab sit on the rear, and the car is simply super clean. There's just one line on the car, which we emphasize with this front stripe here, going over 6 meters through the entire car, from the grille to the very far end where the rear lights sit, and it goes over 3 dimensions, over 6 meters. It's very hard to handle, but that is the only line, because the key is really in reduction, because this is way more difficult to leave something off than to simply throw stuff on. So this is our approach in order to create a timeless beauty like the cars we see on the contour here. mentioned the front end, you see the Maybach grill, maybe some people later around there. The fine side grill, which gives the Maybach identity. And you see that drop shape in the long, arrow, streamlined rear end that slopes down into that beautiful graphic. But even more, I think an open car gives emphasis on the interior. And this car, again, is fully drivable and has that full interior here. And again, great event. It's a pleasure to bring beautiful cars to this beautiful event. Thank you so much. And with that, of course, we're not quite finished. I need to have my good friend Dima back on stage. So we have a little story to say, huh?
Yeah. So what do you say? You like the car? Well, we have to make a confession, Miss Gordon hinted to. We were invited, the two of us, to a special car guys dinner yesterday.
A very exclusive dinner.